Have you ever avoided looking at your checking account or your bank account just because you knew the numbers weren't very good? Well, I've done that before, and I've been doing that with my business because I know the numbers aren't as good as I want them to be. Hello and welcome to eBay with Chris. I am on a journey to build an eBay business from $0 to $3,000 monthly profit in just 12 months. Today's a little bit of a change of pace. I wanted to sit outside. We got some beautiful weather here. And you know, I'm not super excited about my numbers. So I just wanted to get away from the computer and for the most part, and just sit out here in the swing I have in the yard and relax a little bit while I talk to you. If you guys hear some road noise, it's because my place is near a kind of a busy road. I'm a little behind on my videos, so instead of just doing 1 week, this time we're gonna do 2 weeks of content all together in one. It's mostly going to be my numbers today. We're going to dive into the first 2 weeks of May to see how I did. We'll look at my metrics. Of course, we'll look at my eBay reports and see my results. I'm recording this video towards the end of the month of May, and honestly, this entire month has been really tough as far as motivation. I think it's because my average sell-through rate the last couple weeks of April were on kind of the slide down, and I just haven't seen the results that I was expecting to get. However, I'm still continuing to do the work. I'm still sourcing, I'm still listing, and I'm starting to see more results here towards the end of May, and you'll see that in my next report out, that I am getting some good sales the last week or two. So it is improving, and the work that I'm doing to really focus more time on my sourcing to make sure I'm sourcing items that have a better sell-through rate, it seems like I'm starting to see some results there. So I'm encouraged by that a little bit, but honestly, the month of May has been a little bit discouraging. I haven't been as motivated like I mentioned, but that's all part of building a business. Honestly, you got to go through the grind, and I know that. I've done different businesses before, and I know that you have to go through the grind, you have to put in the work, and you can't really control the results. You know, all I can do is control my action, and my actions are finding items that people want to buy, listing them, and then shipping them out. You know, the main sources of my action are finding items that people want to buy and getting them listed. If I do that, and I do that consistently, the sales will come, the results will come. I know that, but sometimes it's discouraging, and it's hard to be motivated. It's hard to do the work sometimes, and I know I'm not the only one that has experienced this type of frustration when you're building an eBay business. There's ups and downs with every business, and you know, things aren't always going to go as good as we want them to go. And that's okay. You know, it's okay to feel this way. And it's okay to battle through it and to continue to do the work to get the results that you want. And I know that the results will come. So I'm going to continue to battle through it. I missed some of my metrics, as we're going to discuss here shortly. But that's okay. I can pick myself up and continue to move forward, continue to grow this business, and I know I can still hit my goal. I can still hit my target of $3,000 per month. So let's get into the numbers. Here we go. Okay, so let's go ahead and look at the sales report for the first 2 weeks of May. As you can see, this report is from May 1st through May 14th. I had 35 items sold during that 2-week period. And if you break it down, for the first week from May 1st through May 7th, I sold 14 items. And then for the second week, I sold 21 items. Total sales for these 2 weeks, $1,008.35. My total selling costs, $419.25, 41.6% of my total sales. It's a little bit high. Usually I'm around 38%. We'll go ahead and break this down a little bit later in this video to see exactly what those selling costs were. My selling costs include eBay's final value fees, as well as ad fees, and primarily shipping costs, because I only ship through eBay's shipping methods. So that's where most of my selling costs are. My net sales for the 2-week period, $533.13. And my average sales price per item, $28.81. which is actually right above my target goal of $28 per item. I calculated early on that if I can average over $28 selling price per item, I should average over $10 in profit per item, and that has proven to be true so far. Typically, shipping costs are about $8, and my cost for the item and other expenses are less than 10, and then that leaves me with $10 of profit per item. So we'll see how it worked out in this 2-week period in the later part in the video. Okay, so here is the sales chart for the 2-week period. As you can see, I had sales every day except for 2 days. It looks like May 1st I had 0 sales and May 3rd I had 0 sales. But every other day I had at least one small sale, with a couple days being one day of $200, another day of $150, and another day of probably around $140. So 3 good days out of 14, pretty good. If you go ahead and look at my item sales, this is what the buyer paid for the item itself, $636.90. Shipping and handling, the buyers paid shipping and handling $315.48. I don't do any free shipping. All of my listings are the cost of the item plus shipping. And then the buyers also paid some taxes, $55.97. Okay, this chart shows the selling costs for the 2-week period. As you can see, the total selling costs were $419.25. eBay fees, let's go down here to the eBay final value fees of $138.95. So the final value fees is 13.8% of my total sales, which is pretty typical for me. As you can see, I only paid ad fees of $14.46, which is 1.4% of total sales. And finally, the cost of my shipping labels, which is the biggest component of my selling fees, $265.21. And that is 26.3% of my total sales. Let's start by talking about where these metrics came from. So I started out with my goal of $3,000 per month. And then I thought, okay, what do I need to do to get to $3,000 per month? The first thing is, okay, can I make a profit of $10 per item? I only need to sell 300 items per month to make a profit of $3,000. And that's only 10 items per day. So what do I need to do to sell 10 items per day? So based on my research, a lot of other clothing sellers were reporting a 0.5% sell-through rate. So that means I would need to have 2,000 items in my store in order to sell 10 items per day. 0.5% times 2,000 is 10 sales per day. If I get that, times 30 days, times $10 per item, I've got $3,000 profit in a month. So that's where that target comes from. My goal is to add 50 items to my store every single week. And if I do that, I will have 2,000 items in my store by December 1st. And if I have a 0.5% sell-through rate, I'll be selling 10 items per day in December, or 300 items in the month at $10 profit per item. That would be $3,000 in profit in the month of December. Okay, so let's talk about metric number 1, increase in size by 50 items per week. Doesn't matter how many sales I have, I need to make sure my store grows by 50 items no matter what. So if I sell 20 items, I need to make sure I add 70 items to my store so my store grows by 50 overall. So for the first week, the week of May 1st through May 7th, I started the week with 593 items in my store and ended with 645 items for a store growth of 52 items. Pretty excited about that. The second week I started with 645, obviously, but I only ended the week on May 14th with 675 items. So my store only grew by 30 items during that week. So my store grew by a total of 82 items for those 2 weeks. I sold 35 items, so that means I listed 117 items during that 2-week period. Now the second metric, the sell-through rate, is an indicator of the types of items that I'm sourcing. Am I buying things that people want to buy? Am I pricing them correctly so that people will buy them? And am I making good listings so that they are so that the eBay algorithm is showing the items to people? So that's just an indicator of how well my business is as far as the inventory. In order to figure out your sell-through rate, what you do is you take the number of items sold, divide that by the time period, the number of days in that time period, and then divide that again by the number of items in your store. So for me, I sold 35 items over 14 days, and I'm going to go ahead and divide it by 645, which was the number of items I had on May 7th, right at the midpoint of this 2-week period. So 35 divided by 14 days divided by 645 items in my store. You do the math and it turns out to be a 0.38% sell-through rate, which is down from my target of 0.5%. Oh no. But this is about the time period when I realized that I needed to make an adjustment in my my buying, in my sourcing. So it was probably about around May 7th when I realized this, and I started the next time I went to the Goodwill bins, I spent a lot of time doing research on every single item. Instead of buying all of the Lucky Brand jeans because 1 or 2 of the styles has a good sell-through rate, I actually did research on every single style, and I was putting items back that I would normally buy. Instead of buying every single Victoria's Secret pink hoodie that I found, I was only buying certain ones and then putting the rest back. But I was doing research on every single item. It took a lot more time, but I think the items I've added in my inventory the last 2 weeks or so have been a lot better as far as their sell-through rate, and I believe I'm starting to see the results of that. So we'll keep doing that. We'll keep spending more time on the sourcing and see if that turns us around. But this is an important metric. I need to have my sell-through rate at 0.5% in order to sell 10 items per day when I have 2,000 items in my store. And metric number 3 is a $10 profit. Do I have a $10 profit on every single sale? So let's check it out. So my cost of goods per item is $3. I'm averaging about $2 per item on my cost of goods, and then I have another $1 of other expenses. For example, storage boxes, printer ink, labels, poly bags, shipping poly bags, you know, all the stuff that goes into storing clothes and in an eBay business. So it costs, and oh, of course, laundry. I almost forgot about laundry, which is actually probably the biggest expense. So that turns out to be an average cost per item of $3. So I sold 35 items, multiply that by $3 per item, my cost of goods sold is $105. Now my eBay payout was $533.13. When I subtract $105 from that, I get a profit of $428.13 for the 2-week period. Now, in order to get my profit per item, I just divide that number by the 35 items that I sold. So my profit per item is $12.23. Woo! So one of my metrics is in the positive. I love it. 1 out of 3, not bad. I'll take it. Okay. So now let's go ahead and look at cash flow for that 2-week period, May 1st through May 14th. So I spent $222.30 on inventory. I went to Goodwill twice, and I also bought like 1 item at a garage sale. I bought 103 items. So that turns out to be $2.16 per item, which is actually an increase of almost 30 cents per item over my cost of goods year to date. I think it's because during that 2-week period I wasn't buying as much. Every time I went to the Goodwill store, I wasn't hitting the 50-pound discount mark. So at my Goodwill, you spend $1.99 per pound, but once you hit 50 pounds, then they drop the overall rate to $1.69 per pound. So it's a pretty good savings. And I've been averaging, I think, $1.86 per item year to date, but obviously this 2-week period was $2.16 per item. Now my cash flow, let's figure that out. So my eBay payout was $533.13, and my expenses for just my inventory, $222.30. Of course, I did have a few other expenses, but I'm going to go ahead and include that in the monthly report out. So I'm positive cash flow, $310.83 for the 2 weeks. It does feel good to have a business that's in the positive. I'm not spending money, I'm not losing money. I have money in the bank that I can continue to buy more and more and more inventory. I haven't been negative basically since week 1. So that's one good thing that's really positive about this business, is that it's really easy to have positive cash flow. Well, thanks for watching eBay with Chris. I do want to shout out all the people that are leaving me positive comments in my other videos. It's really encouraging and I do appreciate it a lot. And it just helps me stay focused, stay positive as I continue to grow this business. And I also just want to encourage you, if you're in that spot where you're like, man, I'm not sure if this is working, you're struggling, maybe you're struggling with being motivated, I just want to encourage you, just keep doing it. Just keep doing the work, do what you can control. We can't control the sales, we can't control the overall outcome, but what we can control is sourcing. We can control what we source, how much we spend on it, and we can control whether or not we list it, because it doesn't help if it just sits there in a pile. We need to get it listed in order to sell it. So focus on the things that you can control and just know that the results will be there. All right, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please give me a thumbs up. I would really appreciate it. If you want to subscribe and follow me on this journey from $0 to $3,000 monthly profit, go ahead and click on this button right here. If you want to binge watch eBay with Chris, check out this video right here.